The first thing people noticed was not what he said, but what he refused to say. While the internet screamed in flashing headlines and restless hashtags, Yu Menglong moved like a quiet tide beneath a raging storm, letting waves crash above him while his feet remained planted in unseen sand. Cameras searched for his reaction, fans waited for denial, critics sharpened their knives for a rebuttal, but there was only silence. Not empty silence, not weakness disguised as calm, but a deliberate stillness that felt almost scripted, as if he had learned long ago that noise burns fast while echoes last. In earlier storms, when whispers curled into rumors and rumors grew teeth, he had already shown this pattern. The world accused, speculated, dramatized, and demanded explanations as if truth were a product to be delivered overnight. Yet Yu Menglong did not rush to defend his name. He let the air thicken, let the tension stretch, let the audience sit with their own hunger for scandal. The silence felt infuriating to some, hypnotic to others, but it was never accidental. It was the same silence that had followed him through past controversies, the same quiet that once made fans cry and enemies doubt themselves, the same stillness that now felt like a familiar refrain in a song everyone thought they already knew. Picture a late-night studio, lights dimmed after a long shoot, his reflection staring back at him through a mirror smudged with fingerprints of assistants and makeup artists. Outside, phones vibrate endlessly, messages stack like falling dominoes, headlines refresh every second. Inside, he loosens his collar, exhales slowly, and chooses not to reach for his phone. That single decision, so simple, so misunderstood, becomes the sharpest line in his defense. Because in an industry where reactions are currency, refusing to react is an act of rebellion. Fans often imagine silence as surrender, but those who have followed his journey know better. Yu Menglong's career has always been built on restraint. He rose not by shouting over others, but by letting his work speak when words would only cheapen the moment. In dramas where his eyes carried more weight than monologues, in scenes where a pause said more than a confession, he trained audiences to read between breaths. That same skill now plays out off-screen. While others scramble to control narratives, he lets narratives exhaust themselves. The internet thrives on immediacy. It demands statements, apologies, explanations, clarifications, preferably all at once. But immediacy is also its weakness. Stories born too fast often die just as quickly. Yu Menglong understands this rhythm instinctively. He knows that outrage burns brightest in the first hours, that certainty dissolves after repetition, that yesterday's scandal becomes today's boredom. By offering nothing to fight against, he starves the fire. No quotes to twist, no emotional clips to loop, no defensive tone to weaponize, just absence, calm, and time. There was a moment, fans remember it vividly, when a rumor spread so fast it felt like a collapsing sky. Screens filled with speculation, fabricated timelines, exaggerated claims dressed as truth. People waited for him to appear, to deny, to protest, to cry injustice. Instead, days passed, then weeks. The noise began to crack under its own weight. Contradictions surfaced, interest faded, and when Yu Menglong finally appeared again, it was not in an interview or a press release, but on screen, delivering a performance so controlled and emotionally precise that it reminded everyone why he mattered in the first place. The silence had done its work. This strategy is not about arrogance or indifference. It is about power, quiet power. In a culture addicted to oversharing, restraint becomes rare and therefore valuable. Silence, when intentional, forces the audience to confront their own assumptions. It turns the spotlight back on the accusers, asking them to prove rather than proclaim. Yu Menglong never says, "I am innocent." He lets time ask that question for him, and time, more often than not, answers gently. Imagine him walking through an airport, mask on, cap low, cameras clicking like restless insects. Reporters shout questions that echo off glass walls. He does not stop, he does not flinch. His stride remains steady, almost rhythmic, as if every step is rehearsed to a metronome only he can hear. That image circulates online, dissected frame by frame. Some call it cold, others call it dignified. But what it truly is consistency. He has chosen who he is in chaos, and he refuses to betray that choice for temporary relief. The protection this silence offers his career is subtle but profound. Public defenses age badly. They lock an artist into a version of themselves shaped by crisis. Years later, clips resurface, tone judged harshly by new standards, sincerity questioned by new audiences. Yu Menglong avoids that trap. By not anchoring his image to reactive moments, he allows his career to remain. The silence does not arrive suddenly. It settles in layers, like dusk slipping across a restless city. At first, there is disbelief, people refreshing screens, waiting for a statement that never comes. Then irritation follows, sharp and impatient, demanding explanations as if they are owed. Finally, something quieter emerges. Curiosity. Why would someone surrounded by noise choose stillness so deliberately? Why would an artist trained to perform refuse the most dramatic stage of all? Public defense. In that unanswered question, Yu Menglong's strategy begins to unfold again, echoing the rhythm of every chapter that came before. Imagine the early morning hours before a shoot, when the world is half asleep and even the internet seems to breathe slower. He sits alone with a cup of cooling tea, script open but untouched, eyes drifting toward the window where light barely breaks through. Somewhere, rumors are still being typed, still being argued, still being recycled into certainty by strangers. He knows this. He feels it without checking, yet he does not reach for his phone. Silence for him is not ignorance, it is choice. It is discipline practiced so often, it now feels natural, almost necessary. The industry around him understands this more than the public ever could. In meetings held behind closed doors, his name is spoken with a particular tone, measured, assured. People recall how he handled past storms, how he never arrived flustered or distracted, how he never let chaos leak into the work. Silence becomes shorthand for reliability. It says this is someone who will not unravel when pressure peaks, someone who understands that careers are marathons, not sprints fueled by reaction. There is a peculiar strength in letting others speak for you without asking them to. Fans, critics, analysts, all become part of a conversation he does not enter, and in doing so, he reshapes power dynamics. Instead of defending himself, he allows the world to examine itself. Contradictions surface naturally. Exaggerations grow obvious. People begin arguing not with him, but with each other. Silence turns into a mirror, reflecting assumptions back to those who made them. Picture a crowded airport terminal, the kind where sound ricochets off glass and metal until it feels alive. Cameras flash, voices call out questions meant to provoke reaction. He walks through it all with an even pace, shoulders relaxed, gaze forward. Every step is a refusal to perform anxiety. Later, clips circulate online, slowed down, zoomed in, analyzed for hidden meaning. Some call it arrogance, others grace, but what it truly is consistency. The same presence he carries whether praised or condemned. This consistency is the quiet architecture of his protection. Public statements are brittle, they crack under time. What sounds convincing today can sound hollow tomorrow. Yu Menglong avoids building his image on words meant for emergencies. Instead, he reinforces it through repetition of behavior. Show up, do the work, leave without spectacle. Over years, this pattern becomes harder to dispute than any press release ever could. Silence also guards his interior world. In an age where emotional transparency is demanded as proof of innocence, withholding becomes an act of self-preservation. He does not allow private feelings to be extracted and displayed as evidence. Whatever fear, anger, or exhaustion he experiences remains his own, unconsumed by algorithms. This boundary keeps him whole. It ensures that when he steps into a role, he is not hollowed out by constant defense. On set, the transformation is immediate. Noise evaporates the moment the camera rolls. He stands in character, expression restrained yet charged, and the air shifts. Crew members feel it, the focus, the gravity, the sense that something precise is about to happen. In these moments, the silence outside feels irrelevant. Performance becomes the only language that matters. Each scene delivered with care quietly rewrites public memory, replacing rumor with craft. The audience senses this shift even if they cannot articulate it. They watch and feel steadiness beneath the performance, a groundedness that suggests control rather than chaos. This feeling lingers longer than headlines ever could. It seeps into trust. Silence trains them to wait, to observe, to believe in continuity. Over time, viewers learn to associate his presence with reliability, with depth unbothered by turbulence. Critics, left without a target, grow restless. Outrage needs friction to sustain itself. Without response, accusations lose momentum. They repeat, recycle, and eventually exhaust themselves. Silence does not silence others. It simply refuses to validate their urgency. Time, patient, and indifferent, begins to sort truth from exaggeration. Yu Menglong watches this process unfold without intervening, confident in its outcome because he has seen it before. There is a moment after every storm when the air feels unusually clear. It arrives quietly, unnoticed by those already searching for the next crisis. This is where he reappears, not with explanation, but with presence. A new project announced, a performance unveiled, an appearance marked by the same calm that preceded the chaos. The contrast is striking. While noise ages quickly, composure feels timeless. Behind this approach lies an understanding few possess, that attention is finite, and where you place it shapes your future. By refusing to invest attention in defense, he invests it in creation. Energy that could have been spent arguing is redirected toward growth. Roles become more deliberate, choices more refined. Silence clears the path forward instead of anchoring him to the past. Fans begin to recognize the pattern as a language of its own. When silence arrives, they do not panic. They remember previous chapters, how the story resolved itself without intervention. Patience becomes part of fandom culture. Waiting becomes an act of trust. This shared understanding deepens connection far more than any statement ever could. It feels intimate, almost conspiratorial, a quiet agreement to let time speak. The media, accustomed to instant reaction, struggles with this refusal. Without sound bites, narratives lose sharp edges. Stories soften, drift, dissolve. New topics emerge, new targets appear. Yu Menglong remains where he has always been, working, moving, building. Silence allows him to pass through cycles of attention without being consumed by them. Imagine an awards ceremony, lights glittering like suspended stars. Backstage hums with anticipation, yet his demeanor remains unchanged. The same calm breath, the same steady gaze. When he steps into view, applause washes over him, tangible and undeniable. For a brief moment, reality asserts itself. Applause cannot be fabricated by rumor. It exists only in presence. Silence brought him here intact. This approach reshapes how longevity is earned. Many careers burn bright and fast, fueled by constant reaction, only to fade when noise turns inward. Yu Menglong chooses the slower path, the one paved with restraint. Silence stretches his timeline. It keeps his image flexible, his reputation adaptable to changing contexts. Years from now, old controversies will feel distant, stripped of urgency, while his body of work remains accessible and alive. Even within himself, silence creates room for reflection rather than defensiveness. It allows learning without humiliation, growth without spectacle. Mistakes, real or imagined, do not define him publicly because he refuses to freeze them in words. He moves forward, letting distance soften edges and clarify meaning. Silence becomes forgiveness without apology, evolution without confession. Observers often mistake this for detachment, but it is deeply engaged. Choosing not to speak requires more control than reacting impulsively. It demands trust in time, in craft, in audience. Yu Menglong exercises this trust repeatedly, refining it with each cycle. Silence becomes muscle memory, a practiced strength rather than a passive absence. As new generations encounter his work, they inherit this rhythm without knowing its origin. They see an artist whose career feels uninterrupted, whose presence seems steady across years. They do not feel the storms that once raged because silence allowed those storms to pass without leaving scars on the surface. History feels smoother when it is not constantly annotated by panic. And so the story continues.